The morning of the weigh-in arrived quietly. No drama, no noise, just soft sunlight coming through the gym windows. Connor woke early. He had barely slept. Not from fear, from awareness. This was the final step before everything became public. He sat on the edge of his thin mattress and listened to the city waking up outside. Motorbikes, distant voices, metal shutters opening. His ribs still ached when he breathed too deep. His arm was purple from elbow to wrist. But nothing was broken. He stood up slowly and wrapped his hands. Even though there was no training today, it was habit. It helped him think. At the stadium, cameras were already set up. Large banners hung from the walls. Bright lights pointed at the stage where fighters would step on the scale. The promoter stood near the center of it all, dressed in a clean suit, smiling, laughing with sponsors. If someone saw him now, they would never imagine white trucks on dark roads or men with metal rods. Connor watched from a distance. Aaron stood beside him. "Remember," Aaron said quietly. No emotion. Connor nodded. Clear. Not angry. Not proud. Clear. When his name was called, Connor stepped forward. Flash of cameras. Whispers in the crowd. He stepped onto the scale. Still, balanced. The official read the number. On weight. A small nod from Samche. Good. Across the stage stood his opponent. Thai champion. Strong build. Sharp eyes. Not connected to the promoter's crew. Just a fighter. But behind him, near the back, stood the promoter. Watching. Always watching. For a moment, the promoter and Connor locked eyes. The smile on the promoter's face did not fade, but it changed slightly. Less friendly, more curious, almost like he was wondering, "Will you break tonight?" The face-off lasted 10 seconds. No pushing, no trash talk, just two fighters measuring distance with their eyes. Connor saw confidence in his opponent, skill, experience, but he did not see cruelty. That mattered. When it ended, Connor stepped down calmly. No show, no gesture, just quiet. Aaron leaned in as they walked away. "They try nothing here," he said softly. "Too many cameras." Connor knew that. Whatever happened now would happen in the ring. Under lights. In front of everyone. That evening the stadium filled slowly. Seats filled row by row. The air grew thick with heat and noise. Music blasted between fights. Betting slips passed hand to hand. The smell of oil and sweat mixed in the air. Connor sat in the locker room, hands wrapped, gloves resting beside him. Samchai adjusted the tape carefully. "You ready?" he asked. Connor thought about the last months. The first day in Thailand. The warehouse fight. The checkpoint. The alley attack. The message. The white truck. He nodded once. Yes. Not because he felt invincible, but because he felt decided. The walk to the ring felt longer than usual. Lights bright. Crowd loud. His name announced with a slight pause before it. From Europe, Connor. Mixed reaction from the crowd. Some cheers. Some silence. Some curiosity. He climbed through the ropes, touched the canvas lightly, then went to his corner. Across the ring, his opponent performed a respectful Y crew ritual. Calm, focused. This was business for him. The referee called them to the center. Instructions given. Gloves touched. The bell rang. Round 1. The first exchange came fast. His opponent tested with low kicks. Sharp, precise. Conor checked the first one, absorbed the second. Pain flashed through his already bruised leg. He answered with a jab. Simple, clean, no wild strikes, no anger, just timing. The crowd responded to every solid connection. Conor could feel the stadium breathing with them. His opponent pressed forward. Strong clinch attempt. Conor resisted. Ribs screamed as they collided. He shifted weight, created space. Elbow inside. Small cut opened above his opponent's eye. Nothing major, but visible. Round 1 ended tight. No clear winner. Back in the corner, Aaron spoke calmly. He test your ribs, protect more. Samcha added water to Conor's head. Stay clear. Clear. Round 2. The pace increased. His opponent came harder now. Kicks heavier. Punches faster. Conor felt the pressure. Felt the skill difference in experience. But he did not panic. He remembered the alley. The rod. The checkpoint. This was clean. This was honest. This pain made sense. Mid-round, a right hand slipped through Conor's guard. His vision flashed white. Crowd roared. He stepped back. The champion smelled opportunity. Pressed forward. Combination. Body. Head. Low kick. Conor's leg nearly buckled. He clinched. Held. Breathed. The referee separated them. 30 seconds left in the round. Conor changed rhythm. Stopped reacting. Started leading. Jab. Cross. Step out. Low kick of his own. The crowd shifted. He wasn't fatting. He was adjusting. The bell saved both of them from one more heavy exchange. Back to the corner. Aaron looked serious now. You down on points? Conor nodded. He knew. Then we take it, he said quietly. Aaron searched his face. No fear. No wild look. Just clarity. He nodded once. Round 3. The final round. The stadium was loud now. Bets changing hands quickly. The promoter sat ringside, still smiling, but his fingers tapped lightly on his knee. The bell rang. Conor moved first. Not reckless. Sharp. He stepped inside a kick and landed a clean elbow. The cut above the opponent's eye opened wider. Blood flowed. The crowd reacted loudly. His opponent answered with a heavy body shot. Conor felt it deep in his ribs. Pain exploded. But he did not step back. He stayed. Threw knees. Short punches. Clinched hard. The referee warned them for head position. They separated again. 1 minute left. Both breathing heavy now. Both marked. Conor heard Aaron shouting something, but the noise swallowed it. 30 seconds. The champion threw a spinning elbow. It missed by inches. Conor saw it slow. Clear. He stepped to the side. Threw a straight right. Clean. Perfect. The champion stumbled. Not falling, but shaken. 10 seconds. The crowd on its feet. Conor pressed forward carefully. Not wild. Not chasing. Just precise strikes. The bell rang. Silence for half a second. Then noise exploded. Both fighters stood in the center. Chest rising. Sweat dripping. The referee held their wrists. Judge's decision being calculated. Conor looked across the ring. The champion met his eyes. Respect there now. No anger. No politics. Just recognition. The announcer stepped forward. The promoter stood slowly from his seat. The decision envelope was handed over. The stadium quieted. The announcer took a breath. And just before he spoke, the stadium lights flickered once. Brief, but noticeable. A murmur moved through the crowd. Conor's eyes shifted slightly toward ringside, where the promoter was no longer smiling. The lights steadied again. Just a flicker. Probably nothing. But in moments like this, even small things feel heavy. The announcer cleared his throat. The envelope trembled slightly in his hand. The crowd leaned forward. Conor could hear his own breathing. Slow. Deep. Controlled. The announcer spoke in Thai first. The words rolled through the stadium. Conor did not understand all of it, but he heard the key phrase. By split decision. A pause, long enough to stretch nerves thin. The winner. Another pause. Red corner. The crowd erupted, half cheering loudly, half groaning. Conor realized in that second. He was in the red corner. Aaron jumped up in the corner. Somchai let out a short laugh of disbelief. The referee raised Conor's arm. The noise hit him like a wave. Not just cheers. Shock. Surprise. Respect. His opponent nodded once and bowed slightly. Conor bowed back. The belt was placed over his shoulder. Flash of cameras again. Lights hot on his face. And across the ring, the promoter stood very still, clapping slowly, smile back on his face. But his eyes were cold now. Very cold. Back in the locker room, the noise from the stadium faded. Only the hum of fans remained. Aaron grabbed Conor's shoulders. You did it. Conor nodded, but he did not feel wild joy. He felt something steadier, like a door had closed, not opened. Somchai wrapped ice against Conor's ribs. Now the old man said quietly, we see. See what? Conor asked. Somchai did not answer. He only looked toward the hallway outside the locker room. 10 minutes later, a knock came at the door. Soft. Controlled. Aaron stood up. Opened it. 2 men in clean suits stood outside. Not police. Not fighters. Businessmen. Promoter wants speak, one said calmly. Aaron looked at Conor. Conor stood slowly. Okay. Somchai's eyes narrowed. Careful. Conor nodded. Clear. Not angry. Clear. The hallway outside was almost empty. Most of the crowd still in the stadium celebrating. The men led Conor down a quieter corridor, past storage rooms, past catering tables, until they reached a private office near the back. The promoter stood inside alone. Jacket off now. Tie loosened. Hands resting lightly on the desk. When Conor entered, the promoter smiled. Congratulations, he said smoothly. Thank you, Conor replied. No sarcasm. No challenge. Just simple. The promoter studied him for a long moment. You surprise many people tonight. I just fought. The promoter chuckled. Yes, you did. Silence stretched between them. The air felt heavier in this small room. You are strong, the promoter continued. And stubborn. Conor did not respond. You know, the promoter said, walking slowly around the desk. I could have made tonight very difficult for you. Conor met his eyes. I know. The promoter stopped a few feet away. But I did not. Why? Conor asked. The promoter smiled faintly. Because you did not break. That answer hung in the room. You see, the promoter continued. Many fighters come here with pride, with ego. They shout, they threaten, they embarrass. He stepped closer. You did not shout. You did not go to police. You did not make noise. Connor felt a slow, understanding form. You wanted to see if fear would choose for me, he said quietly. The promoter's smile widened slightly. Yes. The room was silent, except for distant cheers from the arena. And now, Connor asked. The promoter looked at him carefully. Now you are useful. The word landed heavy. Useful. Not respected. Not admired. Useful. For what? Connor asked. International card next season, the promoter said. Bigger money, bigger audience. You fight under my banner officially. Connor felt the weight of the offer. It was real. Powerful. Everything he had imagined when he left Europe. But it came wrapped in something dark. You tried to stop me, Connor said calmly. The promoter did not deny it. I tested you. With men and metal rods. The promoter's face did not change. Bangkok is dangerous at night. The meaning was clear. Nothing would ever be admitted. Nothing would ever be proven. This was how power moved. Quiet. Deniable. Controlled. So, the promoter said lightly. We work together. Connor thought about the alley. The checkpoint. The truck. The messages. Then he thought about the young boys at Samchai's gym. Skipping rope under a slow fan. He thought about how easy it would be to say yes. To step into comfort. Money. Protection. Visibility. But at what cost? To belong to something that creates fear to test loyalty. He looked at the promoter steadily. I came here to fight, Connor said quietly. Not to belong. The promoter's eyes narrowed slightly. You misunderstand. No, Connor said calmly. I understand very well. Silence. Thick. Heavy. The promoter's tone cooled. You refuse. I choose my own fights. The promoter studied him for several seconds, then smiled again, but it no longer reached his eyes. You are brave tonight, he said softly. Let us hope you remain lucky. Connor did not answer. He simply turned and walked toward the door. The promoter's voice followed him. Thailand can be difficult without friends. Connor paused briefly. Without turning around, he replied, fear is also a kind of friend. Then he left. Outside the office, Aaron waited. Connor's face said enough. He offered, Aaron asked. Yes. And I said no. Aaron exhaled slowly. You know that means? Yes. It meant no protection. No shield. No silent agreement. It meant whatever came next would be open. But something had shifted. The promoter had tried control. It failed. That changes power. Not fully, but enough. As they stepped out of the stadium into the warm Bangkok night, the white truck was parked across the street. Engine off. Lights dark. Empty. Connor stared at it for a long moment. No one inside. No movement. Just sitting there. Like a symbol. A reminder. He turned away first. Walked toward the car without hesitation. No rush. No fear. Clear. Behind them, inside the stadium, the promoter stood at a high window, watching them leave. Not angry. Not shouting. Just thinking. Because for the first time, he had tested someone who did not run and did not bow. and did not shout. Someone who simply chose. And that kind of person is harder to control. Bangkok felt different after the fight. Not safer, not lighter, just clearer. The noise of traffic, the street food smoke, the late-night laughter, it all moved the same as before, but Connor moved differently through it. He was no longer chasing something. He had already faced it, and he had chosen. The next morning, the city buzzed with talk about the tournament. News clips played in small gyms. Highlights of the final round looped on sports channels. The split decision was debated. Some said Connor edged it. Some said it could have gone either way. But everyone agreed on one thing. He did not fold. At Somchai's gym, the boys were louder than usual. They crowded around Connor when he arrived. "Champion," one of them shouted in broken English. Connor laughed softly. "No champion," he said. "Just fighter." Somchai watched from the corner, arms crossed. "You changed," the old man said quietly when they were alone. "How?" Connor asked. "Before you wanted to prove, now you just stand." Connor thought about that. It felt true. When he first came to Thailand, everything was about proving himself. To the gym back home, to strangers, to the idea of what a fighter should be. But fear had tested something deeper. And in that testing, he had stopped performing. He had started deciding. The promoter did not contact him again. No more messages. No more warnings. No more white truck following them at night. But the space between them remained. Unspoken. Tense. A few small fight offers came in the following weeks. Independent promotions. Smaller shows. Nothing controlled by that network. Connor accepted one. Then another. He won one. Lost one. No controversy. No hidden pressure. Just sport. Just sweat. Just effort. It was enough. One evening after training, Connor sat outside the gym with Aaron. The sky was deep orange. Traffic heavy in the distance. "You ever think about going back?" Aaron asked. Connor looked down at his hands. The knuckles were thicker now. Scarred. Healed. "I will," he said. "But not yet." Aaron nodded. "You different from when you came." Connor smiled slightly. "I hope so." "You were loud inside," Aaron said, tapping his chest lightly. "Now quiet." Connor leaned back against the wall. When he first arrived in Thailand, he thought becoming stronger meant becoming harder. Less afraid. More aggressive. But now he understood something else. Strength was not about crushing fear. It was about letting fear speak and still choosing your direction. That was growing up. Not losing fear, but not letting it lead. Months passed. The tournament belt hung quietly in Somchai's office. No spotlight on it. Just resting there. The promoter continued his business in the city. Fights went on. Money moved. Influence shifted. But something had changed in small ways. Fighters whispered differently now. About standing firm. About not folding too easily. The story of the foreigner who refused spread slowly. Not as legend. Not as myth. Just as example. And examples matter. One night long after the tournament, Connor walked alone through Bangkok again. Same streets. Same dim lights. Same noise. He passed an alley that looked very much like the one where he had been attacked months ago. He paused. Listened. Nothing moved inside. No footsteps. No waiting shadows. He stepped closer. Just for a moment. Not to challenge. Not to prove, just to feel. His ribs no longer hurt. His arm had healed. The small scar above his eyebrow had faded to a thin line. He realized something simple. The worst had already happened, and he had survived it. Not because he was the strongest fighter in Thailand, not because he had power or protection, but because when fear pressed close, he did not run from himself. He stayed. Clear. Later that night, back at the gym, he lay down on his thin mattress. The fan turned slowly above him. Outside, a dog barked once. Then silence. He closed his eyes. His body was tired, but not heavy. He thought about Europe. Cold mornings. Familiar streets. Friends who had laughed when he said he was leaving for Thailand. He would go back one day. And when he did, he would not bring stories of danger or drama. He would bring something quieter. The knowledge that growing up is not loud. It does not arrive with applause. It arrives in moments when you are alone in a room with someone powerful. And you choose not to bow. And not to fight blindly either. You just choose yourself. The next morning before sunrise, Connor stepped into the ring again. No cameras. No crowd. Just Samche holding pads. Aaron leaning on the ropes. The first light of day creeping through the open windows. "Ready?" Samche asked. Connor nodded. "Always," he said softly. The pads cracked sharply as he threw the first combination. Not wild. Not angry. Just precise. Each strike carried months of experience. Fear. Pain. Decision. Growth. The bell in the gym rang lightly to signal the start of sparring. Outside, Bangkok continued its restless movement. Inside, Connor moved calmly, no longer trying to become something. He already was. A fighter, a man who had faced pressure beyond punches, a foreigner who had come searching for strength, and found clarity instead. And in the quiet rhythm of gloves hitting pads, there was no horror left, no thriller, no shadow of a white truck, only breath, only effort, only the steady sound of someone who had grown up.